I literally saw Jesus say, "That's great." And he takes my little puny mind, and I'm not being nasty to myself. And he's literally like, "Great, let's convolute it this way. We're gonna bend it this way, and we're gonna right." So because he's taking us on a journey of encountering like who he is, encountering how he functions, encountering the world and how it's created and how it functions. And it takes us in a pathway that, wow, we just have to hold the paradox of what we've got in front of us. And,
Very good.
we got to be comfortable. We got to learn to be comfortable in paradox. That is incredibly threatening to someone. It's like my safety is bound up in what I can understand.
Damon Thompson says true revelation lives in the tension between two seemingly contradictory ideas.
Boom. Boom.
And I'm alive in you.
Welcome to episode 8. Today we will be exploring the both and paradigm. Now that's a huge Virgin Mary topic for me, but before we do that, we have our buddy Rob May, Pastor Rob, and a dear friend of ours, Dr. Catherine Toon. Catherine, just say hi and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Hi, I'm Catherine Toon. I always hate that question. You're like, okay. I'm a human being. So no, I'll get technical. I'm an author, speaker, and coach and podcaster. I have a few episodes. I love the fact that we're episode 8. I'm just new beginnings. I like it. It's just perfect today. Mother of 3. I've been married to my sweetheart Brian for 30 years. I had to think. And been in ministry a while, but walked through various streams, kind of like you, Jeremy. Started out kind of in Word of Faith, and just kind of kept on and got into the Trinitarian grace, whatever we're calling it. I think it's a Jesus thing. As long as it's Jesus thing, I'm happy. And yeah, I think that's probably the top things that are coming to my mind. There you go.
Awesome. Well, and Catherine, I just want to say I was putting this over you earlier, and you just one of the things I so appreciate about you is you're safe, and you really carry that mother heart of God, where I'm rated R, and I feel safe to be the real me around you. And so
I love the real you. That's like the best.
I really appreciate it. Well, today, so we just appreciate you, Catherine, and your contribution to just this message and really the kingdom of God. So thanks for being on today.
Thank you.
Which leads me to the both and paradigm. Now, I kind of want to set this up for a minute. This is a really big topic for me because, like I said earlier, it's probably the thing that has changed me the most. And really, in regards to how I think, not only about theology, but just life in general, the more and more I'm aware and I'm learning how to walk in the both and paradigm, I see it all over the place every day. Like, because it's literally the way I'm learning how to think. And so, so let's do this. What are some of your thoughts when you hear that both and paradigm? And I know I want to say that this is an original concept. I've not heard anyone use that term both and paradigm yet, but I'm sure someone has. So I'm not claiming original rights to it. But Richard Wallace, some people I really admire, have done a lot of good work on non-dualistic thinking. So what are some of your thoughts, Catherine?
Well, it's kind of as we were kind of talking before, and God is both concrete and completely blow your mind intangible, right? He's both. And there are times we need the concrete, and there's times we need the intangible. We need the mystical. Yeah. And so there's always an invitation to experience him, and I'll say slash her. I think your audience can probably handle that. That which is also both and. And in a mystical, intangible way and intangible ways. I mean, I like to put it that we get everything. See, what is it that you need? What is it in your daily life as you're approaching the latest issue at hand? How do we approach it? And I love when you were talking about your daughter and this both and with, how was your day? You did great with this and this area. Well, okay, there's got stuff. And, it's this way of approaching things that we're not so quick to land on it and think, wow, I've got it all summarized and zipped up. We're talking about the Western mindsets of just concrete, got it in the boxes, ticked it off. And then we have, this kind of blow up the box and flowing it in what God is leading into next. So we get the whole enchilada with the guacamole and the sour cream, and we get everything. And this excites me so much because we find, when you encounter a God that's so huge, that defies our ability to grab a hold of, yet he's so grabbable, right? We get everything. And so I just like to approach it from that standpoint, that we're launching off in our understanding, even theologically in our understanding, that we're always encouraged to grab a hold of and hold loosely. We get the concrete and the releasing. We get the grappling in our own capacity with an ability like I can't grapple, but I can encounter with an open heart, an open mind, an open hand. And so I feel like this is such a way that the Spirit is leading our churches. And we were also, the church in general, but we were also talking about, the value of, meeting in person, and then the value of community online. And we get both, right? And as I said, we get everything. So this is kind of how I'm approaching it, having been new to this terminology. That's kind of the first thing that smacks at me when you brought that up.
Very cool. Very cool. I love that, Catherine, because I think that people, they struggle with that idea. We talked about it a little bit before, the already and not yet. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of big questions that come out of that misunderstanding. Well, if it's finished, then all the why questions come in, and we don't need to go down that very fiery rabbit hole right now. But there's a lot of confusion. And because people are confused, there's no order. And what I mean by order is not logical foundation. We're very much privy to that, like you said, that very Excel spreadsheet line and column approach to life. And spiritually, it just simply doesn't work that way. Everything is always in tension at all times. The question is where are you feeling the tension? And I think that the problem for many of us, and including myself, is where do I find equilibrium in the both and, where two things can be simultaneously true at the same time, but don't override one another. Jesus, the hypostatic union, comes into play. Into my mind, it's like, okay, 100% man, but also 100% divine. The Western mind, it just twists into like a crazy Rubik's cube trying to really understand what that means. And I think on a very, base level, if we just say, yeah, he's 100% God and 100% man. You spend any longer than 5 minutes thinking about it, though, you have smoke coming out of your ears because you're like, well, hold on a minute now.
My head hurts.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the most helpful thing that we can try to do today is just help people understand that the both and is a good thing. And honestly, it's better than linear thinking. It's better than a linear thought process.
Thank you. I mean, there's value in linear.
Sure.
We get that. And we get this, I don't even know how to describe it, this mystical, can't grab a hold of it, but I'm just floating in it, right? However, I'm grappling with what I can't grapple with, and I'm just taking it all in. And that it's okay, it's safe. And I think that's one thing, is like God in some ways is unsafe because you cannot predict him, which is part of that linear thinking. And so he feels unsafe because you can't predict, right? But this is the delight. Like, man, if we could predict God, it'd be one puny God created in our own image. Although sometimes we're kind of unpredictable too, because a lot of ways we don't even know ourselves. Right? Crap, I did that. I had no idea. Right? So, right. But so as I said, we get all of that, right? And I love you brought up the hypostatic union, because, whoa, that's a mind bender. And it's kind of fun because I'm seeing, it's kind of fun. I was seeing, as I said that, like a mind bender. I saw like myself grappling with that, and I literally, this is so great. I literally saw Jesus say, "That's great," and he takes my little puny mind, and I'm not being nasty to myself, and he's literally like, "Great, let's convolute it this way. We're going to bend it this way. And we're going to," right? So because he's taking us on a journey of encountering like who he is, encountering how he functions, encountering the world and how it's created and how it functions. And it takes us in a pathway that, wow, we just have to hold the paradox of what we've got in front of us. And, we got to be comfortable. We got to learn to be comfortable in paradox. That is incredibly threatening to someone. It's like, my safety is bound up in what I can understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see paradox, and some of our Western Evangelical friends don't like to admit this, but the Bible is chock full of paradox.
Chock full of it.
Genesis to Revelation, paradox as a paradox as a paradox. And I want to mention, I think probably one of the most powerful quotes I've ever heard on this subject that really has helped frame this in me was Damon Thompson says, true revelation lives in the tension between two seemingly contradictory ideas.
Boom. Boom.
And that
I love that. That is so good. Damon, get down with your bad self. That is so, wow. I'm sorry. Everybody pause. Like, I'm so good.
Well,
right. There's this and there's this and there's, Right. I love it.
Well, that's why that's been running this for like 7 or 8 years. That quote has been just, constantly shaping how I learn how to navigate this. And then here's the other thing, kind of back to what you said. I'll say it how I was taught it. Before my deconstruction, reconstruction even started, I had a friend who was an ancient Hebrew scholar. Kind of not by profession, by hobby, but really smart. And he started to lay out some precursor concepts that helped me. And Hebraic thinking is circular, whereas Greek Roman thinking is linear. And our society lives in Greek thinking.
Yeah.
And the kingdom has a circular, as you said, you get everything in the circle. Good luck with that. Because it's not like Christmas where you have your name on everything. It's more like, you get everything, but then we're invited to sort that out.
Yeah.
And see what fits where.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that. And I love that, as Jesus as a rabbi, always asking questions, which honestly, even when he gives an answer, it brings up so many more questions. So there's a value for the engagement. And I really believe that because there's so much paradox and we can't partition it out and put it in those pretty little boxes, that what this leaves is that we get to be completely dependent. And I say get to be because a lot of times we don't like this, but it is a get to. Completely dependent on our relational engagement with God. So it's all about this relationship. So if I just ask the question and Jesus said, bam, here's the answer, we're done, right? But if I ask a question, then he asks me a question back, which is usually what it is, right? And then we're in this engagement and I'm like, I'm feeling the air, feeling the life, but I've not concluded anything, but I'm in this journey. It's all about this engagement and this relational encounter that God is all about in relationship with his creation. Yeah. And, it's kind of interesting. I love this discussion. I didn't mention, but I'm a retired physician, long retired. So however that is. But the area that I'm laughing, the area that I chose was internal medicine. And so there's something about internal medicine, and I want to honor all the internists out there, internal medicine, but it is the most anal retentive area in medicine. And that is, you go about it very logically, and there's value in it because you first have to have a differential of, what this problem could be. And then you have various options to try to figure it out. And it takes you down this pathway, and it's very linear. And I actually really enjoyed it. There's a place for that. But for me personally, in as much as intellectually I enjoyed that process, there was also place in me that there was a constant misfit. And it almost felt like I had to do violence to continue, because actually I'm a really mystical person. And so, right? And so forcing myself in that box for the whole amount without being able to embrace kind of a mystical approach, it felt like I was almost doing violence to my being. I don't know. I felt like I had to kind of become someone else, a different persona. And I think that persona was part of me, but it wasn't the full enchilada because it's both and, right? So is one of the reasons, honestly, why other than other practical, why honestly, I eventually got so burnt out because I was only using one capacity. And I'm not saying you can't, so I don't want to limit anybody. But when you're forced to operate in one capacity only and are not free to operate in another, you kind of start and you kind of stifle the truth of who you are. I don't know how else to say that. So it was kind of interesting. I always wondered, like, why did I get so freaking burnt out? Well, boom. And I feel like there's a lot of application for those people out there that are feeling like there's only one way to approach something. So in the paradox, I have to lean heavy on here, and then I have to do some sort of violence in order to try to make this paradoxical revelatory concept work as if it is this, and they're not, because we've got to be able to hold both at one time without freaking out and having our whole universe implode because we can't figure it out, right? Because we're basing our ability to find our security in trying to make things fit that don't fit, except it fits in the person of Christ, who intrinsically is paradox.
So good.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
And I think there's a misconception around the word mystery that I think is subtle, but it's worth mentioning. Mystery doesn't mean you don't figure it out. Mystery is an invitation to explore, so you have transformation of the mind. And really, in some of our theology, a lot of times it's not even about discovering something, it's about having our eyes and the veils on our eyes being lifted.
Yes, hello.
That it's been there the whole freaking time.
I think that is like everything, really. But yeah, I mean truly, what does not fall under that category, right? And it's a good thing. We're so adored in our, like, what we don't know and what we're blind to, right? You're so, I remember the Lord telling me one time, because I was trying to figure out rest, right? Rest, what's that? Because I was so AAA in bondage. And the Lord had me, and I remember I was just like, my little mind was grating because I just didn't have a grid for it. And the Lord, I said, oh, Jesus, I am just so clueless. I'm just so frustrated. I'm not figuring this out. And you said we're supposed to labor to enter. And I don't even know what I'm laboring for. What am I, and all this. And he just goes, you're so adorable when you're clueless. And I'm like, it's safe to be clueless, because the thing is, if we don't come to the place where we don't know, we're not going to be able to journey into something that we get to know. It's mysterious, but it's unveiled to us and we discover it. Because if we already think we know, or if we feel like it's not okay not to know, we're never going to relax and go on this journey of discovery where we know and wait, there's more, right? And continuing to go in that journey. So when we're trying to get our heads around the hypostatic union, fully God, fully man, and right, there's a journey, right? Yes. There's a growth process, and that we're safe in the journey. And I think a lot of times in Western mindset, it's very, very scary, because your security rests on being able to figure it out and dot the I and dot the T. Whereas, sometimes the T, we may not be able to dot that thing, to cross it, whatever the deal is. And so our security doesn't rest in that. It rests in the person of Christ, which in and of itself is, himself is pure mystery. But even understanding our oneness while we feel separate, oneness while we feel like we're trying to get closer to God and all of that, is this ongoing struggle. And if we're not secure being held in that tension, then we're going to have a really hard time dealing with paradox, right? And so we can just rest in it. We can rest in what we don't know. Like, what happens when we die? I don't know. And if my security in that rests on me knowing, we're screwed. Like, if your security rests in anything but the person of Christ who is knowable, but still limitless, okay, then we're screwed. And we got to learn to be comfortable and honestly find joy in it. I mean, honestly, otherwise we're just so stifled and constipated and, right? And so we get all of it. We get all of it. So I don't even know, Jeremy, if I'm speaking at all to your topic and your heart and your paradigm, because I'm still honestly trying to grapple with what you're fully meaning by that, because I think it's so rich. Like, we're pointing to one instance. Okay, there's an instance, but it's the whole thing. So I don't know if you want to speak into that, but yeah.
No, you're doing amazing. And here's the thing. I was doing some writing earlier this week, and I was giving permissions for people that are on the journey. And one of them was the permission to be wrong. And
yay, thank you. That is the most healing thing ever. Be wrong and be loved, baby.
Well,
yes.
As I was writing, this came to me, and I never had thought of it. But so many times, it's because I've been bold enough to admit that I was wrong, that it's like, okay, you're wrong, and then I find truth. And that truth sets me free. But my question as I'm writing this is, how many times are we not free because we don't have the courage and recognize that being wrong has no value on your identity?
Bam.
So therefore you can be wrong, and
or not know, just simply not know. Right?
Yeah.
So you can be wrong, you can not know, you can get it partially correct, you can get it really spot on, and it changes absolutely nothing about your worth, value, significance, or security.
Well, and let me give you an example of something that I have right now. I am leaning towards not believing the devil is even an ontological being.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
And I refuse to jump on one end or another.
Yeah.
Now, I'm aware of my leanings, and I know last week's episode was on demolishing spiritual warfare and how silly most of that is. But all I know is when I quit fighting the devil and learned how to take responsibility for my own crap.
Dang, Dad, dang. Yes.
That's when
Sorry. Keep going.
the life changed, and my wife can witness that.
Wow.
So put that in your
So
pipe.
good.
Yes.
It's so good. It's so good, right? Yeah, because we get our focus on the wrong thing. And I think sometimes in compassion for people, and I think it's really important to have compassion on people in this area, because if you're suffering, I'm trying to find a word, demonic overlay in however we're defining that, that's hell, right? And so, we're trying to walk this out sensitively by not saying there's no battle going on. It's a matter of what are you actually battling, right? And how real that it feels, because I've been there. When you're under that, I mean, it's real. It's that delusion. It's the delusion Jesus was under, and I just don't throw stones at me yet. When he entered our delusion, my God, why have you forsaken me? Right? Now, he inhabited that delusion, and I believe that was the thing that he struggled with most in the Garden of Gethsemane, just like taking this on. It's one thing to become sin and fight all the demonic, whatever we're calling it. Okay, but it's another, that separation. But that feels incredibly real, and it's where it's where insanity comes from. All of that, all the torment. So when we're deconstructing a devil as an ontological being, or whatever we're doing, right? We get to do that. Well, number one, I love, Jeremy, I just love you so much because you just rock. And I want to say but because that makes it sound like it just negated the love right there. We're not negating love. And no, but it truly is an and. Maybe this is a both and right here. Oh my God, I may be getting this concept. But you're describing a devil without a potential ontological thing, and yet you're holding in it. I think I'm onto something, but I may be wrong. And I don't know totally, but I'm grappling, but I'm onto something, right? And then we're also embracing people where the devil feels with the horn and the pitchforks and whatever else we're calling it, as an ontological being, is under the sway of whatever that entity is or isn't. Put it that way.
Yeah, well, and here's how I hang my hat on this issue.
Yes.
And sometimes I have to learn what's important and what's not. And right now,
that's all of us.
It's not very important. But no matter whether he's an ontological being or just a mostly made up fictitious character we scripted in scriptures,
sure.
I know this for damn sure. 100,000%, he's a big fat loser.
Well,
and has absolutely no authority. So either way,
exactly.
That's where I'm.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that, because for me, practically, because with the coaching I do, I mean, there's a lot of, I call it demonic overlay, for lack of a better thing, or a tormentor or whatever. Practically, when someone starts spinning out in whatever you might describe as a devil, number one, we're not impressed. We're impressed with the pain. We're not impressed with any darkness, right? So he's a big fat loser, but if you treat that as something they're actually dealing with, even if it's a delusion in their mind, they actually feel better. And since my heart is like, how you doing? Are you okay? Practically, because sometimes, and this is one of my beefs. Can I share a beef? Yes. I can share a beef. One of my beefs is that we get so damn theological, and the one in front of us is just suffering. Whether it's something of their own creation, their theology sucks, whatever, they're just suffering. And so it's like, our theology matters as it helps and ministers. And then sometimes we just need to shut up and minister to the one in front of us. That sounded nasty. I don't know what to do with it now, but anyway, minister to the one in front of us, meet them where they're living. Because I think of every delusion that God has walked me out of and is currently walking me out of. And he never goes, well, that was so stupid of you. Now, let me put it this way. Let's be very clear. He could say, that was really stupid because my eyes are open, but it doesn't like patronize me or belittle me. And then I'm back, it's like, I can't believe I fell for that. How many things have we fallen for that were so stupid, right? But at the time, they were so freaking real. And it had impact on our well-being, So, I don't know. Did I just totally hijack your program? I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely good, Mom. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts. What do you got going on in your bald, beautiful head.
And my
Thank you.
beautiful.
As you guys were talking, Catherine, you brought up the Garden of Gethsemane and
Yeah.
the passion and all of that. I immediately was taken back to a memory from my childhood. I did not grow up Catholic. I grew up in a very non-denominational, situation. Okay. We at one point went to a Catholic church to mass. I have no idea why we were there, but we were there. And I remember I was probably like 12 at the time, something like that. And I looked up to the front of the church and I saw the crucifix and Jesus was on it. For my 12-year-old mind, I was very confused because my entire life I had only seen the cross empty because he's not there anymore. Right.
Oh, right.
So my first thought, again, don't have anywhere near the theological, depth that I have now. I was a little insulted because I was like, he's not there anymore. So why would you depict him
I
like
dare
that?
you stick him back up on that cross. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Now, though, and I have to give Dr. Bradley Jersak and Brian Zahn credit. Love those guys.
Yes.
They explain through various means, books and podcasts and whatnot, that the Christ is co-suffering. God is co-suffering.
Yeah.
So in the moment, while I took offense to it, there might have been a Catholic parishioner sitting there being comforted by the fact that Jesus suffers with us. He suffered greatly. And I didn't have the mind at that point to understand it from that direction.
Yeah. Right.
But it presents a good question. Which way do we represent Jesus?
Wow.
Is it him off the cross or on it? Because the reality is that the blood of Jesus runs warm every single day. And some people need to engage with Jesus in that way because they are suffering. And some people, some people need victorious Jesus. I mean, we all need both. That's my point. But there's no wrong way. Yeah. Both and exactly. Yes, exactly. So I just thought about that. I just thought that was a really cool way to articulate it. And honestly, it makes it a lot easier. And I'm glad that you guys kind of went this direction with it as well. It's not what we wrestle with internally that just affects us, but how we view the world and treat the people in it.
Yes.
And I think look at evangelism, for example, on the other side of deconstruction.
Right.
I don't need to hand out tracts. I don't need to put a smoking gun to someone's head called hell and say, love him or else. I don't need to do any of that.
Right. Wow.
So is it a salvation issue or is this an awakening issue?
Yeah.
And I would
a salvation awakening. There
you go. Yeah. See again, so this goes back and forth, but I don't feel the internal pressure to save people from a hateful psychopathic father. I don't need to do that anymore. But I can't empathize with the person that thinks like that.
Right.
So,
and that's part of it. You know what it is too? Because, we're called to love as he loves. That means we bear with one another with where we were at. And just because I've been emancipated from having to pass out tracts, my brother, and even if he's spewing a hateful Jesus, I can bear with him in where he's at, because there's places in me that probably has some hateful spewing of something. And certainly me judging him is not helpful. Right? Now, where people are harming, and I understand, I'm going to say that gently because that's harmed a lot of people, the spewing that, right? But the brother or sister that's doing that is actually a brother or sister. You know what I mean? And so, so when I'm making a judgment, well, what are you doing with Jesus up on that cross? Don't you know that he's resurrected? And then we're missing the co-suffering love that suffers with me where I bleed. Yeah. Yeah.
Very important.
Or I'm maybe prideful that I got the Jesus up there because this is my thing. And then I'm looking at those plain crosses and, well, that's meaningless. And, and judging that, right? So it goes, God, it's a level playing ground. I had a friend of mine, someone that I've been coaching, and she was like, I won't put crosses up during Easter because I refused to put on my wall a torture device for Jesus. And I thought, oh, I can see that. And then I also looked around at all the crosses I have up on my wall. And then, right, all my torture devices for Jesus. And then I thought, yeah, but didn't he transform those? Because now this torture device is this glory. It's the tree of life. How am I seeing it? Both, I guess both and, but and so be free to cross or not to cross. But it's a there's such an expansiveness that God is calling us into so that we can not be quick to judge, right? Not be quick to point the finger, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I want to say this really freaking bold, but, some of our favorite theologians, John Crowder, Baxter Kruger, these guys talk about Gnostic dualism and how that's one of the things that has infiltrated the Western church, and we're being called out of that. Well, I believe the both and paradigm is the remedy for Gnostic dualism. It's what heals the indoctrination that we've all been indoctrinated into, that dualistic thinking. And I loved your example about the crosses. I want to give another one and really help show you how this fits into everyday life. I have a boss. I won't use her name, but up until about 4 months ago, I called her the B word at least twice a day. Like, we do not like each other, or, well, we didn't like each other because she's micromanaging and I have a plan. I'm there to work, not be told what to do. And so we butt heads for about a year and a half. And Holy Spirit started to open my eyes to what an absolute amazing woman she actually is behind the mask of this. And she has her flaws, but she's done so much over the last 2 years. She's helped me become an amazing employee, and I've never been able to say that, but man, I am so grateful for being open to being wrong about Brenda. And the Holy Spirit told me 6 months ago, you don't know my daughter, and you're being an asshole. Like, straight up.
I love it.
Uppercut, and then I realized I was the dummy that was going around with a bunch of fuel, making the fire way bigger than it needed to be.
Yeah.
So
dang it.
We just had a conversation yesterday, and I was like, I just so appreciate how you delegate fairly. You're so fair. So because she's been saying, don't do this because you always do it, and it's not fair that you're the only one doing it because no one else does it. So she started to get my back on some areas, and I just see how, but that would have never happened if I didn't slow down.
Wow.
And be like, there's no way she's all bad.
Yeah. Boy, that is, golly. And it's such a conviction for all of us because we do that. Like, you think of the person on the planet that seems like they're evil personified, and you just can't get past it in your perspective. And God's like, yeah, don't you talk smack. Well, I mean, that person may be sex trade. I mean, it could be evil, sacrificing babies to this non-ontological Satan, okay. And I mean, and you know, and then we're just not seeing as Christ sees. We're just not seeing through the eyes of love. That the ones that see 2020 are nemesis that we can thank for making us a better employee, the best employee we can be, the best spouse. Maybe the nemesis is your spouse, you know what I mean? Or your kids, or, whatever. Or, the religious asshole, your nemesis. Right? And then I'm like, okay, so where am I being an asshole? This is a level playing ground with God making us, just conforming us into this beautiful image that looks like him, that looks like something so breathtaking. And we are of that. We are of him. And so we get to partake of that. So I don't know, I'm rambling, but that example.
I love it. And I think one of the things that helps in this interpersonal conflict for me is when I catch myself being super critical and judging, there's this bell that goes off in my spirit, and it's like, what about your side, jackass? And it helps me automatically calibrate and be like, oh. And as I was doing this with my boss, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like 80% of the problem here. And
it wasn't that bad. So like when you were in a good mood, you probably, okay, I will take 2%, baby. I will take 2% ownership. She gets 98%, it's like, keep going.
Yeah.
This is funny.
Yeah.
Don't you love it when you get nabbed? It's like, oh crap. Yes. Okay. Yeah, God does that. I just love it. And I love the way he talks to you, which is so relational and just right in line. It's like, exactly how I need it. Thank you. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, when I see and can admit that I'm wrong, I grow from that, man.
Yeah.
And I'm so hot in pursuit of really growing.
Yeah, I love that about you, Jeremy. I so love that about you.
Let's go. And sometimes when I'm feisty with God, he'll start correcting me, and I'm like, is that all you got? Come on, let's go.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Well, I think it's about good, man. Thank you so much, Captain, for coming on today.
We are not done. Are we done? We just got started.
We don't have to be.
Sorry, I don't mean
it goes quick.
Pressure. Part 2 or something. Anyway, whatever. Yeah. I'm available. Come find me.
Well, let me say this. Kind of a plug for something we got coming up in May. Yeah. We have a Throne Room Thoughts Conference coming up May 8th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. 7th, 8th, and 9th. And Dr. Toon will be one of our guests sharing in session 3, I believe. Or is that 2? Doesn't matter. But she'll be a part of the conference. And then at the end, she'll be one of the panelists for our panel discussion. Yeah. So I'm really excited to have her. And any last thoughts, Rob?
No, we'll have details about that conference coming out very, very soon. Probably look for that like in the next week and a half or so. Dr. Toon, again, thank you so much for coming. And if you would
You can
please,
just call me Catherine. I'm starting.
I'm sorry.
You say doctor once and then Catherine after that, because otherwise my pants start bagging. It's
Oh
just a
dear.
thing. Yes, don't let the pants bag.
Catherine, if you would be so kind, please plug all the things, the podcasts, any
Of course.
publications, all that stuff. Please plug
Yeah.
that.
Of course. So you're talking about my podcast, right? I thought it was your podcast, but you're talking
Yes.
about mine. Oh, okay. My stuff. Perspectives with Catherine Toon. I was like, I'm happy to plug it. Just let me know where to go. Perspectives with Catherine Toon, available on all major platforms on YouTube. Please check it out. Sign up, subscribe. It's actually, okay, dare I say, really good because it's a God thing. So just come find me. We have a good
Amen.
time. We have people like y'all. I got to say it. Like I got to be at Baxter for like 3 seconds, and he's on there. So there's that. Then I have a website, catherinetoon.com, with all my stuff. I do blogs. I have 7 books out, so it's 1 or 2 you can find on Amazon. Have a lot more in the works. I do speak, I do travel, so come find me. I do guest on other people's podcasts, which is so much fun. And then I get to invite guests and we just have a blast. So we do that. And then I do coaching as well. And I do that a lot. And that's really what pays the bills. So if there's an issue you got going on and you think that might fit, come find me. I'm on all the major, socials. I'm around. You'll find me. If you're looking, you'll find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Well,
you. This has been
guys,
a blast.
thank you for joining us. And we'll talk to you guys later.